Cancel.
Squeezy.
Pretty bold of you little fucks to assume that I'm not God.
So I decided to finally watch all the John Wick movies. I was going to watch The Continental, but I watched a little bit of it, and I got bored, so I'm not going to watch that. I might watch one of those screen crush breakdown videos of like the show, just figure out what's going on, how it connects to John Wick and stuff. But no, I watched all the movies for this time because I realized I've never watched the movies. All I knew about the movies were that John Wick's wife's dead, and then the dog, he got her. She got him when she died. Some Russian gangsters decided to kill the dog while they robbed John Wick. And then after that, John Wick goes on the killing spree. So yeah, that's what I know about the movie, and that's pretty much the first movie. Just summed up. But yeah, John Wick is a character study of what would happen if an autistic man was raised by assassins, and then he found meth, which, like, the pills in the movie, he gets these pills in the movie, yeah, take 2 of them, you'll get enough energy. I'm like, it has to be meth. Like, it has to be meth. It can't be, the only thing I know that gives you superhuman strength is, hardcore drugs, like meth. Maybe cocaine? Cocaine may be a little different, but I feel like cocaine's a little bit different. This dude's, taking meth pills, dude, and, it's interesting to see someone the best trained assassin ever made, born, existed, and we just give him some meth, and he will survive every gunshot that is ever shot at him, except for the last one. He didn't survive that one. Spoiler alert.
Here's something to think about.
Okay, so let's jump into it. So we start off the movie, John Wick, he's like a retired assassin. He's out of the game. All he decided, he met a girl, he wanted to just settle down, live a normal life and everything. And then she dies. Barely in the movie, she dies. Cancer, question mark? I think that's what it is. But anyways, though, she gives him, John Wick, a puppy named Daisy, which was like a gift from his dead wife, to help him cope with her loss. Because I guess with the cancer, she knew it's going to happen any day now. So we're going to get some plans settled into place for everyone. So everyone can, at least my death can be easy on everyone. And then, so John Wick has this nice car. And then what happens is Yosef Tarazov, he's like a gangster, and his dad's like the kingpin of, the whole operation. He robs John Wick, he steals because he wants his car. And then in the process, he kills the dog too. Now, if he would have just stolen the car, I feel like everything would have went better. But he had to kill the dog. He had to kill a puppy, which you have to be a psycho. I don't know why, people, dogs are a big theme in the movies. And I guess the theme is what separates humans from the animals and stuff like that. And then, animals are, all the dogs are good. Only one dog dies in the entire series though, which thank God there's no, I know it's the catalyst for everything he does, but still, I don't want to see dogs die. People, just kill people, okay? There's enough people we can kill, and there's enough people die in these movies. But yeah, and the thing about the dog getting murdered is, before that happened, you have no reason to think John Wick is a good guy or a bad guy. Technically, on paper, he would be considered a bad person because he's killed a lot of people. I think by the 4th movie, he's up to 300 at least confirmed kills that are seen in the movies. So, yeah, that's a lot of people. 300 people. That's as many people who, there's towns smaller than that, dude. He's killed entire small towns of worth of people. And then after that, he wants to avenge his dog's death and get his car back. So what does he do? He eliminates every prominent figure in this Russian mafia group. So usually the idea is you can't necessarily kill a gang leader. The idea behind it is that I guess my idea behind it would be that someone's just going to take their place, and you don't know if that person's worse or better. And that's the real question. They're usually worse. Usually, Yeah, so anyways, though, he kills everyone in this movie and he kills everyone. Now, he should have killed the leader when he had the chance before he killed his son, or else Willem Dafoe would still be alive and a great ally to John Wick. Willem Dafoe was like his mentor. He dies in the movie, by the way. And then John avenges his death, and that's how everyone in that mafia group who was a prominent figure died. That's pretty much the movie. He also adopts a new dog at the end of it, a pit bull. And this pit bull was like a pit bull that was going to get executed, you know? Executed, I think put down is the word we use. Execute the dog. That sounds dark, dude. You got to be really fucked up in the mind if your job is to put down dogs, you know? I know obviously doctors may have to do, like veterinarians have to do it, you know? To give a dog like a peaceful death, you know? A dog is like, he's in a lot of pain. I don't think he enjoys living anymore. Shit like that. So yeah, he adopts a new dog, a pit bull, and the best trained pit bull ever. Usually why pit bulls are in the pound is because some asshole trained them to be killers. This dog, however, he saw John Wick, he's like, I'm not gonna fuck with this guy. That dog is like perfectly probably the best behaved pit bull I've ever seen in my life. And also the dog's an actor too, and probably trained that way. Anyways though, so at least we know the dog's good. And that dog doesn't die. It survives. Where it is at the end, I think someone has it, hopefully. Then we get to John 2, and the thing I love about these movies is they really like take place right after the next one. So like once you watch those movies, there's not like a usual time gap. I think there was a little bit of a time gap between 3 and 4, but it wasn't like such a big time gap where you're worried. It was just like enough for John Wick to be healed, you know? But like everyone just like happens right after the other. So the second one starts off with him getting his car back, and it's completely total. I don't know why he wants that back. And he gets it fixed, and he's like, "Can you fix it?" And you're like, I mean, at this point, they just have to build him a new car from how much the damage did, just trying to get it back to him, you know. So we're introduced to Santonio D'Antonio, who's an old associate of John Wick's, and he made a blood oath with this monster. Which there's 2 rules in the Continental High Table rules where you don't do your business on Continental grounds, which is just like, so it's supposed to be like a safe haven for everyone's like, you know, or else like if you get kicked out, they showed in the last movie with that Adrian Pilecki, that the only way out of this group is to get murdered. So they put you down as like excommunicado, you know, which is a Latin word, which watch, I know what excommunicate means, so then I just assume he was kicked out. And so now everyone in the world is trying to kill him, you know, at the end of it, you know. But that's what happens when you get kicked out. So anyways, though, after the blood, like, you have to comply to a blood oath, and you have to not do business on company grounds. Like, that's the rules to this safe haven of assassins. I don't know, and, you know, I guess the cops are on it too. So in this blood oath, D'Antonio asks John Wick to kill his sister so he can be in charge of the empire, their whatever empire. And so, since it's a blood oath, you know, he's like, I guess I got to do it because he blew up his house and shit like that. And then, you know, he kills the sister, and then D'Antonio was like, now we're going to put a bounty on your head since you killed my sister so we can tie up all loose ends. So now John Wick has to kill everyone. And so he does exactly that. He kills everyone in his path, and then eventually you know, shenanigans happen, he kills everyone. Like, half of this movie is just like he kills everyone. And then now D'Antonio decided that he's going to indefinitely stay at the Continental Hotel where business can't be done there. And he's like, I'm just going to stay here forever. And then John just decides to kill him on there. And so at the end of the movie, he's excommunicado, and like now everyone's going to actually try to kill him. And in that process of everyone trying to kill him, he gets 1 hour to get his affairs in order. Then he's basically on the run, and people are like, he's going to die, and then he doesn't die. Now we're on to 3, Parabellum, which is Latin for prepare for war. If you didn't know, they say it in the movie, so it's fine. So it's like it takes place immediately after the second one. John has like an hour to get his affairs. He goes to the library to get his Russian shit so he can be back with another Russian mob and shit like that. And then he like basically has to like give up his give his 1 token away to get safe transportation to Casablanca, where he meets Sophia, who has 2 dogs, very well trained, and she's played by Halle Berry, who is great. Even though she didn't do like an African accent in X-Men, I still think she was a great Storm because I watched the animated series and it's like, I summon the power of the Arctic winds. I'm like, I don't think I want to hear that. Like, can't you just be like, just use the powers? We're watching a movie. You can just show us. So I liked Halle Berry. I wish she had the mohawk in it. That would have been cool. So then eventually goes there. And there's this like adjudicator. Her real name's Asia, which is a crazy name to name your kid. If you're naming your kid Asia, and like she looked I say she because she was dressed like a woman in the movie, but real life she could have been the non-bonds. You know what I'm saying? And she's starting shit, and so basically he goes to like the one above all or whatever they call him, and get his blessing. He has to cut off his ring finger and shit. Those don't make me feel good. And then he's like, now he's safe from the table, but now he has to kill his old kind of mentor, the guy who pretty much let him go away from his excommunicado free, almost like without killing him himself, and shit like that. So now John, after targeting Winston, we meet the Bowery King, who becomes more prominent in the next movie, played by Lawrence Fishburne, because he has to be in every franchise. He is in Marvel. He's been in like almost every Marvel, DC franchise out there, and there's so much more and shit like that he's been in. So he has to be in here. Then they pretty much have to go to war at the hotel, and they call a parlay, and they make an agreement, and then Winston shoots John, and he falls off a building, and somehow he survives from the power of meth. And so we're ending here. He was saved by the Bowery King, and the Bowery King is looking to start a rebellion against the High Table. And that's where we get into Chapter 4, where the story of John Wick is about to end. So John's back in New York City with the Bowery King, which is basically like homeless people as his spies, and he uses pigeons to not be traced and everything. Like, he is like his own kingpin for like the homeless kind of thing. And so like basically like, yeah, he's there to help John in whatever he's trying to do. So then John goes to Japan, the Osaka Continental, where he has allies there, but then the High Table comes and attacks him, and we meet Kane, who's the blind guy who like willingly he was the blind guy in Rogue One. He's a blind guy who gave his eyesight to the High Table in return that he gets to just live a peaceful life with his family, but then they had to call him back in, and so he's like very adamant on surviving and shit like that, but he's really good. And he even like respects John Wick like a lot, and so eventually how it really comes down to is at the end of the movie, Marquis, played by the guy who played the clown in Skarsgård, Bill Skars, one of the Skarsgårds, plays him, and so they're like, well, you can request a duel, and doing so in the duel, if you win, you get your freedom. If you don't, you die. That's usually the rule. So it's like you either get your freedom or you die. Which I feel like John Wick doesn't really have anything else to live for. And then a little bitch Marquis decides to nominate Kane instead of just doing it himself like a real man. And basically how everything ends after he has to climb a flight of stairs like 5 times because he keeps falling down. He eventually makes it. And how they end this, how the whole climax of John Wick's life is, basically Kane shoots John in the chest, and obviously John's not dying yet, but he didn't shoot. And so Marquis came in and is like, I want to do the final shot. And then he gets ready, and then he tells Kane, like, you're free of all your duties. You're now a free man. And then what they didn't know is John Wick didn't shoot his gun at the time. So Marquis swapped back in to take his place, let him free to go, free of all obligations. And then John just shoots him right in the head. And then John dies on the steps, and he is now with his wife. And he was buried next to his wife with loving husband, because of all the things he wanted to be known for in this world, he didn't want to be known for being Baba Yaga or the boogeyman or anything like that. He wanted to be remembered loving husband. And that's how John Wick's story ends as of right now, because he could come back alive. Now, is John Wick really dead after Chapter 4? The director of the movie and Keanu Reeves kind of said, like, yeah, he's dead. They're saying he's dead, but you never know when that cash needs to come back, You never know when you need that cash to come in. And I've also realized that John Wick has not delved into magic yet, or sorcery, or anything similar to that. So, we know how he can come back to be alive, you know. We all know how they can revive John Wick. Is if the John Wick series decides to dip their toes a little bit into magic. And I gotta say, it sounds it sounds like a horrible movie. And I feel like it could take away from, like, you know, John has magic powers and that's why he's so invincible and shit like that. You know, I think it would ruin a lot of it, but I think, you know, they haven't dipped into magic yet, so it might happen, you know. Indiana Jones, they delved into aliens, you know. When we jump the shark, I think John Wick's going to get to magic, but I don't know. I feel like if they could end it on 4, and then they also have they're making side series out of it too, so it's not something, you know, necessarily, you know, it's like nice to have John's story beginning and end, you know, you got that, and then they have this whole world of assassins they can do. I know the ballerina looks like, I think Keanu Reeves is going to come in that, but I don't know. I didn't really want to watch The Continental after watching it a little bit, especially when it's like new actors and stuff. Like, yeah, it's the old characters, but I don't really give a shit, you know? Like, I don't really care about Winston. Like, how he survived the entire series is beyond me. Like, you know, I thought he was going to die every day. You know, you start the movie and you're like, everyone I'm looking at's going to die. You know, that's how you think about John Wick movie. Don't get attached to characters, especially the dogs, because you'll be bad. But, yeah, so one day they'll bring magic into it. I think the last thought I really had about the John Wick series is what's going on in the lives of all these, like, henchmen, you know? I always think about people like that, you know, all the people who died in the movie. You think about that, and it's like, how does your life get to a point where it's like the best option would be to attempt to kill an unkillable man like John Wick? Where it's just like, you know, if I kill him, I kill him. If I don't, I die, you know? It's just like, that's the life I have right now. Just like, you know, I know these people don't have, like, 5-year plans or whatever place, but they should, I don't know, man. I feel like there's better professions you can get into than assassins. Like, you know, I deal drugs before I decide to kill people, you know? I feel like that's easier, you know? It's just standard business practices when it comes to dealing drugs. But I feel like being an assassin, I'm just like, you're just, like, putting a target on your back to die, you know? And maybe some people want that. Maybe some people, you know, I mean, there's one guy who really enjoyed that. But, though, yeah, I always wonder, because, like, what they're doing is basically signing up for a death sentence, you know? And I think, you know, you think about it from John Wick's point of view, it's like, it's either fight or die trying, you know, and he fights and doesn't die, except for that one time where he did die. But overall, I'm a fan of the John Wick movies now, you know? I'm a fan of it. In regards to, like, mindless action where, you know, like, yeah, not everything, you know, the humor is going to be questionable. It's going to be unrealistic, over-dramatic. One thing I've noticed, like, assassins in movies, it's like they're always doing badass shit. But then you hear, like, stories of, like, I heard the story of when they got Osama bin Laden, and it's just like, I heard, like, the story is like, Osama bin Laden's 20-year-old son peeked his head from a staircase, and he was dead. So it's just like, it's like when you hear, like, U.S. military guys tell a story, it's like so accurate and nerd-like, you know? It's like, this isn't as fun as I think it is. It's just like, yeah, he peeked his head in the corner, and he's dead. And because it's so, like, smooth and efficient the way they do it, you know? It's like rolling around, they're not going to be doing that shit, you know? They're just like, hump, and then all of a sudden you're dead. So that's cool stuff. Anyways, though, so if you're looking, don't look for the John Wick movies for advice, though. But Keanu Reeves did like 90% of his stunts, which I'm assuming like all the choreography he did, and then like I bet being thrown down the stairs was probably not him. You know, things like that. But overall, if you haven't seen the John Wick movies, I'd highly suggest it. You know, obviously, if you're not a big fan of watching people die, may not be the movie for you, but if you are a fan of people dying, then I gotta tell you, you're gonna love the John Wick movies a lot. Thank you for watching this clip. Watch it again or watch something else.